on GDIW TV. I have a very special guest in the person of Daniel Antwi. He is the Executive Director of the Africa Skills Hub. And you know, when my producer gives me questions, it means that she's very excited about who we have coming up. So Daniel, you're very welcome to GDIW TV.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm awesome.
All right. Why don't we start with a quick introduction? Why don't you tell us a little bit about Africa Skills Hub?
My name is Daniel Antwi, as she said. Thank you so much. I'm the Executive Director of the Africa Skills Hub. Africa Skills Hub, which is ASH, is a youth INGO based here in Ghana, working on development and social enterprise community approaches. So we are based here in Ghana, but with offices in other parts of the country, in Accra, in Tamale, in Kumasi, and Takoradi, with a pilot office in Senegal. Main focus is building skilled African youth as agents of change. So that is what we do.
Wow. It looks like you have a lot going on. I know that you're doing work especially in gender mainstreaming and digital economy. What has that been like? What initiatives and what are you driving in that particular area?
Yeah, so even before I come to that, for our thematic areas, so there are about 7 thematic areas of what we do and who we are. So first is women economic empowerment, and so then I'll speak a bit about the gender stuff. Then second is work readiness program, which is our first love. Third, we have what we call access to markets. Then we have access to capital for entrepreneurs. Then we have policy advocacy outreach, which is an interesting thematic area of our work. Then also research and publication, and lastly social entrepreneurship. So those are, I would say, the 7 thematic areas of our work. Now, women economic empowerment is key. When you look at these discussions around development, women play a major role in development. And so for us as an organization, for the next 10 years, one of our strategies is really to be very deep, harness more on various women economic empowerment programs and initiatives. So that has to do with livelihoods, advocacy, creating opportunities, a lot around gender mainstreaming, a lot around dialogues and ecosystem engagements to really harness this. Issues around gender mainstreaming. So when you understand the entrepreneurship ecosystem, you could see when you take micro, small, medium enterprises, more than 85% are by women. And let me say, Ghana is, I think, the country with the number of most women in the micro, small, medium enterprise space on the continent. So, but the big issue is, yes, so women play a big role in the MSME GDP share contribution. But the big issue is gender is not mainstream in our entrepreneurship ecosystem. So then one of the things we've done this year together with stakeholders and actors in the space of entrepreneurship in the country, the NEIP, that is a government institution on entrepreneurship, Social Enterprise Ghana, a network of over 500 social enterprises in the country, Scale Up Africa, Ghana Startup Act. What we've done is for the last 4 months, we've worked together through a number of research, a number of surveys to really come up with a policy guide. We call this Ghana's first gender mainstreaming policy guide. The whole essence of this policy guide is really to help guide our policy makers to ensure gender becomes cross-cutting in all our national entrepreneurship policy themes. And so then in there, for all our policies that are coming around entrepreneurship, how do we ensure gender is mainstream? So that is really what we have been spearheading. I'm happy to say we together with partners again, we have what we call the National Gender Entrepreneurship Committee. So this is a committee made up of INGOs and CSOs with some government organizations looking at how do we ensure gender becomes mainstreaming or mainstream. And so that is some of the things we are working on together with partners and stakeholders. Yeah.
Ooh, it is obvious that you are working hard. How can one access the gender mainstreaming report? Was it a report or was it a guide?
Yeah, so it's a report. When you go on our website, africaskillshub.com, we have a number of publications in there. So So that is one of the publications we came up with about 5 publications this year. And most of these publications are centered on women economic empowerment. So one was a publication on policy, so gender mainstreaming policy guide. It's on our website. Then we have another publication on Nothing Food Index. We've been running a number of incubation programs in Ghana for women. So we have a food and a beverage incubator, that is a novel incubator for women and MSMEs in the food and the beverage sector. And together with the University of Development Studies, what we've done is we need to look at a research that really tells us, gives us a very interesting data analysis of the various indigenous foods in northern Ghana. So how do we connect that to trade? So what we've done is a report together with the University of Development Studies, and this looking at trade and investment. How do we ensure we share this to partners and investors to really begin to see the need of the various foods in northern Ghana and the trade opportunities that can trade. So we have what we call the Northern Food Index, and that is an amazing report we've done so far. Then again, together with UNFPA, we launched what we call the impact of COVID on gender equality. So that's also another report we launched about 3 weeks ago, also on our website. So on our website, there are quite a number of reports you can see in there. So those are some of the things we have so far. So we are quite excited about women economic empowerment opportunities.
Yes, I can see that. And just to wrap up, what do you think, what would you like to say to our young women out there who are looking to build businesses, looking to support other businesses? Few encouraging words, and then we wrap up.
I think no two ways the future is female. It means a lot when you empower the female, because the ripple effects are quite a lot. And so then what you would want countries to do, so starting from my country, Ghana, is to begin to ensure policymakers and various ecosystem actors begin to become more intentional about creating the needed platform to help our females and our women to thrive. So straight from our academic institutions through to entrepreneurship, through to even our social settings and others. How do we ensure women thrive in what they do when it comes to entrepreneurship? Because once women thrive, society wins, everyone wins, and that is what we need to begin to ensure it happens. So we need to be intentional and create the needed platforms, the needed ecosystem support to help our women. Thank you.
We need to be intentional. The future is female. We've just spoken with Mr. Daniel Antwi, who is the Executive Director of the Africa Skills Hub. We are still live from the Grand Arena in the Accra International Conference Center. You can still join us online or in person. Visit the website gdiw.org. Speak again soon.